Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. This update is the full summary of the new series, replacing Sister Wives on Zee World. The name of the series is Saru, and it is an interesting show. Now keep watching to know what you should be expecting in the new show. The story begins with a young girl called Saraswati. She is affectionately known as Saru, a bright, courageous and determined young woman from Rajasthan, who dreams of making something meaningful out of her life. Saru comes from a modest background, and she has been raised with strong values by her family, especially her grandfather, Sitaram. Saru is not the kind of girl who allows her circumstances to determine her future. Saru is hard-working, compassionate, and exceptionally talented at playing kabaddi. Saru's biggest ambition is to continue her education and eventually build a successful life for herself. Saru's mother, Gauri, however, is constantly worried about her daughter's future. Gauri loves Saru more than anything, but there are painful secrets from Gauri's past that make Gauri particularly fearful of Saru leaving home. Saru does not fully understand why her mother is so determined to keep her close to herself. All she knows is that she wants to study, and she refuses to give up on her dreams. Saru's opportunity of studying finally comes through kabaddi. Saru participates in a competition of kabaddi game, and she proves herself to be a talented player. During the competition, Saru crosses paths with Anika, a young woman from a wealthy Mumbai family. Anika is confident, privileged, and she is used to getting whatever she wants. Both Saru and Anika immediately become enemies after Saru defeats Anika in the kabaddi competition, but what neither of them knows at first is that their connection is much deeper than a simple sporting rivalry. Saru eventually gets the opportunity to travel to Mumbai to pursue her education, and even though her mother was against it, Saru eventually leaves for Mumbai. Leaving Rajasthan is not easy for Saru because she has never lived in such a large city like Mumbai before, but Saru is determined to make something out of the opportunity she got. Saru finally arrives in Mumbai with her dreams, her innocence, and her strong belief that hard work can overcome any obstacle. Mumbai, however, proves to be very different from the life that Saru knew in Rajasthan. Saru finds herself surrounded by people who judge her because she comes from a village. Saru does not have the money, clothes, or social connections that many of the people around her have, so she is forced to work hard to support herself while continuing her education. Even when people insult Saru or try to make her feel inferior, Saru refuses to surrender. As the story continues, Saru's life changes when she meets Ved Birla. Ved comes from a wealthy family, but unlike many privileged people, Ved is kind-hearted and he is capable of seeing beyond Saru's background. At first, Ved simply wants to help Saru. He notices how hard Saru works and how determined she is to succeed, so he helps her whenever she faces difficulties, and gradually the two of them become close. Anika is already interested in Ved, and she becomes increasingly uncomfortable when she notices the friendship developing between Ved and Saru. Anika believes that because of her wealth and social position, Ved should naturally choose her, so Saru's presence therefore becomes a threat to Anika, and this made Anika begins trying to make Saru's life difficult. Anika humiliates Saru, creates problems for her studies, and she attempts to make Ved believe that Saru is not worthy of his friendship. At one point, Anika even interferes with Saru's examination, but Ved begins to understand the difference between Saru and Anika. Ved realizes that Saru's greatest strength is not her beauty or background, but her character. Saru, meanwhile, does not initially realize that Ved has fallen in love with her. She is simply grateful to Ved for helping her, and she treats him as someone she can trust. But the more time they spend together, the deeper their feelings become. Ved admires Saru's determination, kindness, and courage, while Saru gradually realizes that Ved is the person who has consistently stood beside her when everyone else treated her as an outsider. Ved and Saru's friendship eventually turns into love, which Annika cannot accept, and this made Annika's jealousy grow stronger, and she becomes determined to separate Ved and Saru, so Annika repeatedly creates misunderstandings and attempts to make Saru look bad in front of Ved and his family. But every time Saru and Ved are pushed apart, the truth eventually brings them back together. While Saru is dealing with her relationship with Ved, another major mystery begins unfolding. Saru's mother, Gauri, has been hiding the truth about her past. Saru eventually learns that her family history is connected to the wealthy family in Mumbai. The truth is shocking because Saru is not simply a village girl who happened to enter Ved's world. Saru has a biological connection to the wealthy family. It is eventually revealed that Chandrakant is Saru's biological father, and this discovery changes everything. Saru realized that the people she has encountered in Mumbai are connected to her own past. Most importantly, she discovers that Annika is not merely her enemy, but Annika is her half-sister. For Saru, this revelation is emotionally overwhelming and shocking at the same time. Saru has spent so much time being mistreated by Annika, yet she cannot bring herself to hate Annika simply because Annika has treated her badly. Saru believes that family should be united. Instead of using her newly discovered position to take revenge on Annika, Saru tries to build a relationship with her. Annika, however, sees Saru's arrival differently, and she wasn't ready to accept Saru. Annika believes that Saru is taking away everything that belongs to her. First, Saru has Ved's love, and now she is receiving Chandrakant's affection, and she is gradually becoming accepted by the family. Annika's jealousy therefore becomes even more intense. Saru's relationship with Ved continues to face obstacles, but Ved remains committed to Saru as he repeatedly proves that he does not care about Saru's social background because he loves her for who she is. Eventually, Saru and Ved decided to get married. Their marriage is not the peaceful beginning they had hoped for, as their lives continue to be surrounded by family conflicts, misunderstandings, and Annika's schemes. Saru has to fight repeatedly to protect her relationship and her family, and one of the most painful events occurs when Saru suffers a serious accident. The accident changes Saru's appearance and leaves her deeply insecure. Saru becomes afraid that Ved will no longer love her because of her scars. She believes that perhaps the man she loves will eventually see her differently, but Ved proves Saru's fears wrong. Ved makes it clear that his love is not based on Saru's physical appearance, and he only loves Saru because of the person she is. Ved remains beside Saru while she recovers, and he supports her through the difficult period. This becomes one of the strongest demonstrations of Ved's love for Saru. Even after everything that Saru has suffered, Saru continues to put her family before herself. She wants Gauri to have happiness, she wants Chandrakant to accept the truth about their past, and she wants Annika to stop seeing her as an enemy. Above all, Saru wants the family to live peacefully. Eventually, Chandrakant and Saroja's relationship also becomes an important part of the family's journey. The wounds from the past gradually begin to heal. Saru desperately wants her mother to receive the respect she deserves, and she is happy when Chandrakant and Saroja eventually move toward reconciliation and marriage. For Saru, seeing her family come together feels like the fulfillment of a dream. But the happiness does not last forever, as Annika's actions become increasingly dangerous. Annika's jealousy has now transformed into desperation. She is no longer simply trying to win Ved's affection. She is trying to protect herself and prevent the truth about her actions from being exposed. Chandrakant eventually discovers things that put Annika in danger. Annika becomes terrified that Chandrakant will expose her, and the situation escalates until Chandrakant is killed, and his death devastates the family. Saru is completely shattered at her father's death, because Chandrakant was not simply a man connected to her past anymore. He had become her father, and she had finally begun to experience the family life she had always wanted. Instead of immediately revealing everything she knows about Annika to everyone, Saru makes a painful decision. She chooses to hide the truth, as she believes that protecting the family is more important than protecting her own happiness. Saru says to herself that she knows that exposing the truth will destroy the family and possibly send Annika to prison. She therefore begins distancing herself from Ved for Annika's sake. Ved cannot understand why Saru is suddenly behaving differently towards him because he knows that she loves him, but Saru refuses to tell Ved what is really happening. Annika takes advantage of the situation. She tries to convince Ved that Saru has changed and that she no longer wants their relationship. Saru, meanwhile, continues carrying the burden alone. Eventually, Saru makes an even more shocking decision. She returns with Rajat and claims that she has married Rajat, and Ved is devastated. The man who has loved Saru through every obstacle now believes that Saru has chosen another man, and this broke Ved completely. Saru watches Ved suffer, but Shas refuses to tell him the real reason behind her actions. Deep inside, Saru still loves Ved. She has never stopped loving him, but she is simply convinced that sacrificing her own happiness is the only way to protect the people she loves. Ved is unable to move on from Saru, although he is surrounded by people telling him to accept the situation, but his heart continues to tell him that something is wrong, and Saru is not that heartless. Ved thinks that he knows Saru too well, and he knows that she cannot betray him like this. So Ved begins to question the circumstances surrounding Saru's supposed marriage to Rajat, and he eventually starts investigating what really happened. At the same time, Annika sees an opportunity to make Ved fall in love with her. Annika thinks that with Saru apparently out of Ved's life, Annika believes that she can finally have Ved. Annika continues manipulating the family, and she eventually manages to move closer to Ved. The family begins discussing Ved and Annika's marriage. Later, Ved eventually agrees to marry Annika. To everyone watching, it appears that Annika has finally won, but Ved has not forgotten Saru as he begins to suspect that Annika has been hiding something. As Ved investigates about Annika, Ved discovers that the story surrounding Chandrakant's death is not what everyone has been told. The closer Ved gets to the truth, the more desperate Annika becomes to get married to Ved. Annika realizes that if Ved discovers everything about her truth, then she will lose Ved, and she will face the consequences of her actions. Annika tries to stop Ved from investing how Chandrakant died, but Ved has already decided that he will uncover the truth. Ved eventually discovers the horrifying reality behind Chandrakant's death, and he realizes just how deeply Annika has manipulated the family. At the same time, Saru's own lies begin coming apart, and the truth about why Saru separated herself from Ved becomes clear. Ved finally understands that Saru was not trying to betray him. She had been sacrificing herself because she believed that she was protecting her family, and this realization changes everything. Ved now understands that Saru never stopped loving him. Saru also realizes that she can no longer continue carrying the burden of the family alone, and the final confrontation arrives when Annika is finally exposed. The lies that Annika has maintained for so long collapse one after another, and the family finally discovers the truth about Annika's actions, so Annika is finally forced to confess everything she has done. Annika's confession shocks everyone, but for Saru the revelation brings a strange mixture of pain and relief, because she has spent so much of her life trying to save Annika, because she believed that despite everything, Annika was still her sister. Now that the truth about Annika is finally out, there are no more secrets left to protect, and Ved and Saru can finally stop fighting circumstances and start living the life they have wanted from the beginning. Ved realizes just how much Saru sacrificed for everyone around her. He understands why Saru made the choices she made, and Ved finally forgives Saru for hiding the truth from him. Saru, in return, understands that she does not have to destroy her own happiness to keep her family together, and finally, Ved and Saru reunite. After everything they have endured, their first meeting, Annika's jealousy, the family secrets, Saru's discovery that Chandrakant was her father, Saru's relationship with her half-sister, Saru's education, the accident, their marriage, their separations, Chandrakant's death, Saru's decision to pretend that she had married Rajat, and Ved's eventual investigation and everything else. Saru and Ved finally gets the peace they have been fighting for. Saru has also achieved the dream with which her journey began, her dream of studying. The series therefore ends with Ved and Saru together and happy, bringing Saru's long journey from a determined young girl in Rajasthan to a woman who successfully builds her own life and finds love and family to a close. So it was eventually a happy ending for Saru and Ved. Alright guys, this is the full summary of the series, and to be honest, the series is very interesting and I can't actually wait for Zee World to start showing it. So this is it for now guys. I'll be posting step-by-step updates about this series, so don't forget to subscribe to my channel, like this video and drop a comment. See you in my next video. Bye guys.